Hey guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Kirsty and today I am here to show you my June book haul. So there are quite a few books here. A lot of them are pre-orders, only a couple are ones that I just brought in the shop. So let's just get into it. The first book I have here is actually the one that came in the June Fairy Loot box. So if you haven't had the Fairy Loot box yet for June, just skip like 30 seconds or something so you won't be able to see the book. But the book for that month was Grace and Fury by Tracy Bankhart, and this is the exclusive Fairy Loot edition. It only comes out in paperback in the UK. It does come out in hardcover in the US, but this actually comes out at the end of July, so we got it a month and a half early, which is fab. But this is just about some sisters and magic, which is absolutely brilliant. And naked, it says this: it has "Not all prisons have bars," and this is exclusive Fairy Loot as well, so this isn't on the hardcover in the US, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong. So this was the Fairy Loot book of June. The next book that I pre-ordered was God's Grave by J. Kristoff, which is the second book in the Nevernight trilogy, I think, and this is the UK paperback edition. I do have the US hardcover as well, but I do have the UK paperback of Nevernight, so obviously I pre-ordered the paperback version of God's Grave, and I haven't actually read Nevernight yet, but I can binge read them when I get the chance, whenever that might be. Then I brought Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. So this book is a slightly thriller book, I think, aimed at a young adult audience. So it is about Claudia's best friend Monday, and she goes missing, and it's up to Claudia to find out what's happened, where is she, like where's my best friend gone. And so yeah, it's a thrilling book which I'm very excited about. And naked, it is white underneath, and the blurb actually says, "This is the story of how my best friend disappeared, how nobody noticed she was gone except me, and how nobody cared until they found her 1 year later." Interesting. So that's one that I'll definitely be getting around to soon. I say this about every single book, and soon for me means either in the next couple of days or the next few years. So just, yeah, if I say soon, you know what I mean now. And this is a book that I pre-ordered that I was really excited for, and that is the UK collector's edition of Vicious by V.E. Schwab. They got new covers out in the US as well because Vengeful is coming out soon, and I am so excited. But yeah, this is the UK collector's edition. These are the end papers, and naked, it has Victor in gold foil, which is fab. It just, oh, it's so good. I can't wait to get around to this. Oh my god. I have the US paperback as well. I'm just excited to add this one to my collection. Now, the next three books are all exactly the same, but they're just different versions of the same book. I'll go with the UK things first, but I got 2 copies of Legendary by Stephanie Garber. So one was the Waterstones exclusive edition, which is signed by Stephanie Garber. And the reason I've got 2 is because obviously one is signed, one isn't, and there were 2 covers that I really liked out of the 4 that were available. So the same as Caraval, there are designs underneath the dust jacket, and I love the Maiden of Death tarot card design, so I really wanted that one. And then the non-signed edition, which I bought from Amazon, was the Oracle, and this was one that I was desperately after. Funny story here, I actually didn't get these 2 copies straight away. I think I brought about 15 copies of Legendary in total, just so I could get these 2 design dust jacket covers thingies. Obviously I sent the other 13 back because I don't need 15 copies of Legendary. So yeah, I have the 2 that I really wanted. And on top of that, I got the US edition of Legendary as well because this cover is amazing. There isn't any special detail underneath the dust jacket apart from this red star at the bottom here. Now I have 3 copies of Legendary that I really wanted. The next book that I pre-ordered was Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope, and I think this is another magic adventure story. I'm not sure. I just judge them by the covers and I'm like, oh, that's a nice cover, I'll pre-order that. And then I come to the book hauls like now and I'm like, okay, so what is this book about? Book 1 in the Earth Singer series. There's invasion and war and magic, missions, mysterious young women. This sounds interesting. That is what the end pages look like, which is fantastic. And naked, this is so cool, this is. So it's red, but I don't know whether you can see here, but it has like some embossed lettering on the front and it says, in the beginning there was silence, and it has dash Earthsinger Chronicles there. And I just love it when publishers go the extra mile to make books look pretty. And on top of all of that, there is deckled pages, which seems to be a bit of a thing at the moment with fantasy books. There seems to be a lot of deckled pages, and that makes me so happy because I just think they're gorgeous. Another deckled paged book is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I do actually have a e-arc for this and a physical arc for this, and now I have the physical finished copy, and again, deckled pages. I don't know whether you can see, but take my word for it, there's deckled pages. The cover is, oh my god, just absolutely gorgeous. And this is about assassins and prince and princesses, and it's about 2 queens but like 1,000 years apart, and how their stories entangle with each other, which is very interesting. And naked, it is red. So I definitely can't wait to get around to this one as well, because a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, have been hyping this book up so much, and I just need to read it. I really do. I have no excuse apart from the fact that I, and this is no joke, have about 600 books on my TBR pile. Yay! Fun times, guys, fun times. Next book that I pre-ordered was Smoke in the Sun by Renee Ardier, and this is the second book in the Flame and the Mist duology, I think. I don't know whether it's a trilogy or duology, I'm not sure. But this is the second book, and oh, I'm so annoyed that they changed the covers, because I loved the cover of Flame in the Mist so much. I loved the artistic design, and although I do love the cover of Smoke in the Sun, I just wish they hadn't changed the covers, because now my OCD, and I'm not joking here, I do actually have OCD, it just starts to play up and I'm like, okay, 2 different covers, guys, what do I do? This is very difficult for me to comprehend. And it is black underneath. It doesn't have deckled pages, but I absolutely loved Flame in the Mist. I thought it was such a brilliant book, and now I have the second one, so I'm very excited to get around to this one as well. Now this is one of the books that I just didn't pre-order. I just went into Waterstones and I was like, oh, that looks good, and brought it because it was on buy one get one half price, and that is Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. This is about, okay, I'm just going to read the blurb out to you. It says, it's been a month since Caleb died. They blame Jessa for the accident. She hopes sorting through the things in his room will help her deal with the guilt. But as soon as she begins boxing up his life, she uncovers objects that challenge her memories of the boyfriend she thought she knew. Caleb had secrets that won't stay in the past, and now Jessa must search for the truth. Who was Caleb, and what really happened on that storm-swept bridge? So again, it's like another YA thriller book, and one that I'm really excited to get around to, because I do love a good thriller when it's aimed at a YA audience, because I can definitely relate to the situations more. This will be very good. I actually haven't heard much about this book around on the blogosphere or on booktube, so I'm quite interested to see what it's like. Okay, so the pile on my bed of the books I've shown you has just fallen over, and all I can think about is, okay, I need to clean those up, and effort. The other book that I pre-ordered was The Extinction Trials Exile by S.M. Wilson, and this is the second book in the Extinction Trials trilogy. It is kind of marketed as the Hunger Games meets Jurassic Park, so there's dinosaurs and I love dinosaurs so much. I have loved dinosaurs since I was about 3 years old. This is a concept that is really interesting to me. I haven't read the first book yet, but a lot of people say that it is amazing. So here's a quick little anecdote for you guys. Recently I made my own book inventory on Microsoft Excel. It took me very long to do it, and I do have a blog post showing you guys what is in this book inventory, but I did a book inventory and I thought that I owned Shatter Me by Tahara Moffi. Turns out I do not own Shatter Me by Tahara Moffi, and I was like, okay, I thought I owned this and I don't. So I just went out and brought Shatter Me so I can read the series, since Restore Me just recently came out and I do want to read the series anyway. Now I can actually start the series, and it's much thinner than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a longer book, but it isn't. There's only like 326 pages in here, but this is basically about this girl called Juliet, and when she touches people they either die or they get seriously harmed. Then this was another spontaneous buy. I actually saw this a lot on Instagram, and there was a lot of advertising for this book on Instagram, and it piqued my curiosity. So when I saw it in Waterstones, I had a look at the blurb to see what it was about, and that was All of This Is True by Ligia de Penaflor, Ligia. Oh my god, I'm so bad with names. I am so sorry. But this is basically about a girl who loves this book like so much, and she gets a bit obsessed with it. They have a chance to meet the author, so this girl and her friends, they have a plan to get close to the author and talk to her about the book, and basically there's just loads of secrets. And yeah, apart from that I don't really know what this book is about, but the whole concept of there being a person who really wants to meet this author, that was the thing that sold me. So it might be a really rubbish book, but that concept just really interests me, so that's why I brought it, and we shall see if it lives up to the hype. Now this is the last book that I brought spontaneously, and that is The Queens of Fenburn by Kendara Blake, which is the prequel to Three Dark Crowns. It's like on Goodreads you'll see number 0.5. I thought it was like a 3.5 or a 2.5, but no, it's like a prequel. I haven't read the Three Dark Crowns book yet, and I have this thing where I'm sure you've noticed if you're a regular viewer of my channel that if I have one book I like to buy the whole series and then read it, because then I know I have all the books. And if it turns out that I hate Three Dark Crowns, well, I'm just gonna have to live with it, aren't I? That I have the other books. So I'm hoping that I like it, because money. Okay, so on to the rest of the pre-orders that I brought. Wow, this is a 20-minute long video. I need to speed things up a bit. Okay, so let's whiz through the rest of these books. The next one is a book that I actually saw on Hayley in Bookland's channel, and she received it as an ARC and she explained the premise, and it was really interesting. So I was like, okay, pre-order, and that was Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Seidman Broker. And this is a YA contemporary about this girl who loves theatre, and there's a Romeo and Juliet play and loads of Shakespeare. And even though I'm not a big fan of Shakespeare, I am an English student, so the concept of English lessons in a book just makes me very happy. The end pages are pink, like a bubblegum pink, and they're naked. It is this very nice greeny blue that I don't really see much on naked books. This is one to keep your eye out for if you love YA contemporaries that have Shakespeare in them. Okay, so I already own this book, but this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, which is the second book in the Arc of Scythe trilogy. The Barnes & Noble exclusive edition has 32 pages of chapter by chapter notes that Neil Shusterman has written. So it's at the very back, and Neil Shusterman goes through each chapter and explains his thinking process behind the chapter and just how he came to that plot point. I just love Neil Shusterman's writing so much, and I really wanted to learn more about how he thinks when it comes to this book, because this book is bloody brilliant. It is so good, and the ending, oh my god. If any of you guys have read Thunderhead, I just need to vent to someone about this book. So if you've read it, comment below so we can have a little bit of a vent, okay? Because the ending was magnificent. I also brought another Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and that was of The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. And it says here, exclusive collector's edition. And this has these gorgeous end papers. So look at that. It says, brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you go on even though you're scared. And then the back end pages has this on it, and it says, what's the point of having a voice if you're going to be silent in those moments you shouldn't be? Naked, it is white like the original US hardcover. And then the other Barnes & Noble exclusive part of this book is at the end of The Hate U Give, there is kind of like some fan art. So we have some fan art here, and then a letter from Angie Thomas. So yeah, fan art there. And then we have a collection of short stories from the Hate U Give world, a map of Garden Heights, and we also have a little excerpt of On the Come Up, which is Angie Thomas's next book, which comes out February next year. So that was the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I then have the W.H. Smith exclusive edition of The Outsider by Stephen King, which is this thriller that Stephen King has written, and it has had so much love by the book community. I think the original cover is either blue, I think it's blue, but the W.H. Smith cover is purple, and I love a good thriller, and Stephen King's writing can be a bit of a hit and miss for me. I either love it or I hate it, so I'm hoping that I love this one. We'll see when I give it a read. Naked, it is just black with purple writing on the spine. The next book that I brought was My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brodie Ashton and Jodie Meadows. This is another book with deckled pages, and this is a comedic take on Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which is a book that I had to read for university last year and absolutely loved it. This is, okay, so it's got Jane Eyre, and then it mentions like Wuthering Heights, and then Charlotte Bronte is an actual character in this book, which is interesting. And there was another book called My Lady Jane, which was about one of Henry VIII's wives, I think, and I haven't read that one yet, because when it comes to comedy in books, I get a little bit wary, because comedy is very hard to write, because it's like not everyone in the audience is gonna have the same sense of humour as the authors. So when it comes to comedy, I do feel a little bit wary, but I have heard a lot of brilliant things about this book, and I do love Jane Eyre, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna give it a go, and if it is really good and I do find it funny, then I'll buy My Lady Jane. The last three now, it's coming up to half an hour. Wow, okay. So the next book that I pre-ordered was Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles. This came out much earlier in the US, sorry, so we had to wait about a month or 2 months extra for it to come out in the UK. So this is a very short book as well. I didn't realise how short it would be. It is 296 pages, and naked, it is like this off-white greyish colour, and this is about the Black Lives Matter movement. It is about Marvin Johnson's twin, Tyler. He gets shot by police and it's caught on camera, and it's basically about the Black Lives Matter movement, police brutality in the US, and it explores the different avenues of that. So this is a book that I am really excited to get round to in the near future, and when I say near future, I do actually mean in the next month. The penultimate book that I brought in June was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I don't tend to normally go for historical fiction, especially around the World War II era, because I just find it really, I don't want to say depressing, but it just doesn't put me in a great mood. It's quite disheartening. I know it's real, and I know those real life things have to be acknowledged because they were absolutely terrible, what happened, and it does need to be acknowledged obviously, but I do tend to steer away from this type of literature. But there was something about this book that really kind of intrigued me. It's based off a true story and it is short as well, so I don't have to go through like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of material that will kind of dishearten me. There is, let's have a look, 273 pages, and naked it is black. The premise of the book is pretty much self-explanatory. It is about the tattooist of Auschwitz, the person in Auschwitz who had to tattoo the numbers onto the people's forearms. Like I said, it's not the type of book that I normally go for, but we'll see what it's like, and you never know, I could absolutely love this book and it might maybe encourage me to read more historical fiction literature, so you never know. And the last book that I brought in June was Eve of Man by Giovanna and Tom Fletcher, who is obviously the singer out of McFly, and he writes a lot of middle grade and children's books as well. But this is their joint novel, husband and wife. And before I even talk about the premise, I need to show you this book naked because it is so incredibly beautiful. So the end pages are like this gold kind of glittery effect, and then naked, get ready for it, okay? Ta-da! Look how amazing that is naked. Oh, so it's a maze. You can see like this little person at the bottom here, and then you have obviously the female symbol there. Oh, so much time and effort has gone into that, and that makes me so happy. The premise of this book centers around this girl called Eve, and all throughout her life she's been kept away from the opposite sex, so she's been kept away from men. But at the age of 16 it's time for Eve to face her destiny. She has to pick a potential partner for life, which is very scary at the age of 16. I mean, I'm 22 and I still haven't met my partner for life, so I mean, at 16, if I had gone with the boyfriend that I had at the time for the rest of my life, oh god, that would have been a nightmare. Everything's all good and whatever until she meets Bram, which I automatically think of Bram out of Love, Simon, and I'm like, yes, Bram! But I don't know who Bram is in this book, so we'll see what it's like. I mean, I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about this book, but I'm intrigued. It has a beautiful naked cover, a beautiful cover overall, and the premise sounds interesting. So what more could you ask for? So there we have it. Those are all of the books that I brought in June. There are quite a few. This video has lasted 35 minutes, so this is going to be a pain in the arse to edit down. So yeah, what books did you buy in June? Let me know in the comments box below. This is the start of my comeback to YouTube, so I'm going to be filming a lot of videos today just to get them all out of the way, and then I can just edit them and upload them and be like, okay, that's it for another like 2-3 months. Hopefully I don't lose motivation again. But that's it for my June book haul. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you've got any comments, questions or feedback, leave them in the comments box below. And if you want notifications for when I post new videos, just click on the bell icon below. And yeah, that is all I have left to say. So thank you guys for watching. I am back finally, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!